Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are going to go over a market update, go through some of these funds, some high yield dividends, look at how these new all-time highs and records that we're passing may impact our distributions going forward. As always, though, guys, nothing here is financial advice. And if you could please go ahead, hit that like button, I would really appreciate it if you're enjoying these videos. So to start things off, you guys, the S&P 500 broke through that 7,000 wall that we have been waiting on. It just broke through the other day. So yeah, we blasted past 7,000 and we're over 7,100. So the S&P 500 is absolutely rallying. The Nasdaq, same thing. It's Friday today. Nasdaq's up 1.5, S&P's up 1.2. Now, how do these indexes affect a lot of these popular high yield ETFs that many of us like to invest in? Well, personally, for me, USCL right now is trading at 2307. And when we look at my own portfolio, USCL, it's one of my largest positions, and it's one of those funds that I bought into it way back when. Let's see, when did I make a big buy? Right here was a big buy. It's about 100 grand at 23.88, almost $24. That was last year. And since then, you can see that the share price really has fluctuated. We did bottom out on those tariffs when those were announced last year. And then since then, it's been slowly recovering, but I have been averaging in. So my current cost per share is 23.26 and it's trading for 23.07. So getting close to the green as far as share price on USCL. I am in the green when you factor in those dividends, over 17,000 in dividends. So that one, I'm pretty excited to see that one climbing again. HHIS should be another one that a lot of people are happy about because if you're like me, you bought it in the mid 12s. My cost per share is about 12.42. HHIS is coming back. They're 11.28, so they're slowly making their way back towards that $12 mark. However, lots of high dividends have been coming in. So for many of us, we are in the green when you factor in those dividends. HYLD, same thing. I believe it did touch the $15 mark a little while ago. So maybe it was a month ago or so. They were up close to 15 anyways. You guys can see here 1490 pretty much in January. Since then, it has been a slow decline, but you can see that they are slowly climbing back up now, trading at 1469 today. So HYLD making a slow climb. But one thing that I'm interested in here is HDIV. So HDIV currently trading at 2230. And over the last few months of volatility, they've been making some pretty good gains because although they did drop down to the 20s, they quickly made their way back up to over 22. And even the last month, you can see there was a bit of volatility, but you can see that they still pretty much in a bit of a bumpy line, just upwards, right? 6.6%. So HDIV, one thing that I wanted to take a look at with HDIV, we will jump into the Hamilton ETF website. Now, HDIV is known for having multiple natural dividend increases, just meaning that the fund, increases those distributions over time. You can see down the bottom 1720 to 1730 to 18 to 1830. Now, the last time they raised it was December 2025. So, that was a good few months ago now. So if we take a look at HDIV and we go back and we take a look into December. So they were trading, and they probably made that. So November, December, they were trading in the 20s, 20 to 21, somewhere in there. So basically somewhere between 20 to 21. Well, guys, this year they've basically been over 21 most of the year, or at least close to it. And then, 22 for a good portion as well. So HDIV is one fund that I would make a prediction is going to be close to probably slightly increasing that dividend. I wouldn't bank on HYLD, but I would say that HDIV right now would be a contender. Another couple funds that I would be curious about their distributions would be QDay. So we take a look at Q Day here, and their latest distributions were a little bit lower. We were down at 1980. Most of the other ones were above 20, so the last few were a bit lower. So I would reckon that Q Day should be higher, their next distribution announcement, because if you take a look at the NASDAQ, which is basically what Q Day is writing those zero DTE options on. You can see this last month, it's up about 9.6%. It's choppy, but they're writing zero DTE options. So you can see there's volatility in this chart, but you can also see it's basically a bumpy line upwards. So almost 10% over the month. So I would reckon that Q Day should have a nice little distribution increase on the next announcement. Same with C Day actually, because C Day, their last announcement was a little bit lower as well. They went from 19 down to 1880. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that C Day is probably gonna see a bit of a bump as well. Now, guys, we're talking about the Daymax series here. These do change like month over month, right? So it's not as huge of a deal as when like HDiv increases it, because typically if HDiv or HYLD increases their dividend, that tends to be the new benchmark for what they're paying out. And as far as Evolve goes, Biggie, I was actually like, a lot of people were talking about Biggie, thinking, oh, is the distribution going to be sustainable? Are they going to drop it? So far, there's been no cuts, and I would go ahead and say there's probably not going to be any changes with this one. But we'll see when their new distribution announcement comes out. But I wouldn't say there would be. Same with HHIS. I don't see any changes there. Guys, this is all just speculation on my part. I'm just kind of going off of the last month with all the volatility. But I do think because of the share price increase with HDIV and those volatility with those calls that have been going on, could be a contender for a dividend increase. Anything Bitcoin related as well. Actually, MSTE today had like a 10% rally. So he went up like 10% in one day, which is just crazy. So MSTE, of course, these are higher volatile funds that their dividends can fluctuate, but still probably good to see that green and see that there is a chance for some distribution increases there. HHIC, stuff like that, any of those like larger, broader, diversified funds, I don't see really any changes to. So that's kind of my speculation, guys. The big one I will be keeping my eye on for the next distribution announcement will be HDIV. If it doesn't change, for sure it's going to stay the same, but I would say that HDIV is probably coming due for a distribution increase either this cycle of announcements or next one. So that is my speculation as far as these funds go, you guys. It's great to see everything in the green. Of course, we know how quickly that can change, and perhaps that would factor into some of these fund managers deciding to increase or keep the distributions where they are. Anyways, I hope everyone has a great weekend out there, and I will catch everybody in the next video.